Good morning, New Eden. Today is the 21st of 2021, and this is the Federation Frontline Report, a podcast about EVE Online with the focus on faction warfare news and interviewing EVE Online players. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and today we'll be interviewing Vuk, CEO of Blood Mortality. And so you're also a member of the Caldari Militia. Thank you for coming on to the show today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Yeah, great to have you on. So tell us, how did you get involved in EVE Online?
Well, let's say I had always been a gamer, right? But back then in 2003, I was just a kid, teenager, 14, 15 years old, And of course, I knew about the game, but, for that age, you're just not attracted of that kind of game, that required more math planning and things like that, right?
It's a complicated game. I remember when I first started, I was like 19 when I first tried the beta, and I was like, what is this game? This is crazy.
Exactly. I mean, in those age, you're mostly in school, and you have a math, you have studies and things like that, and it is just, it's just you need to spend more time for learning. It's not you need some quick, let's say, satisfaction, like a first-person shooter with industrial metal soundtracks like a Quake or Unreal Tournament. Some quick, So. Well, but after 10 years, in 2013, I read some article or watched some YouTube videos and get info about the game that EVE Online actually offer you opportunity to create your character, gameplay, role play without any restrictions, especially not those moral ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that attracted me the most.
Awesome. So what was the first kind of like activities that you really started doing in EVE Online when you got back into it and really started playing it for the first time, or like the beginnings of your journeys in EVE Online?
Well, my beginning it wasn't much different than others, I just started with mining, then I ganked a few times by the codes. I love those mails that they send, yeah. And, well, then I tried to doing missions in high sec and station trading. And of course, I get bored in general, in high sec. Then for me, logical next move was to move in low sec, right?
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally, I just apply for a militia thing because I didn't know anything about faction war mechanics. But compared to high sec, that was more interesting, atmosphere and things like that, and I decide to move completely in faction warfare. Yeah.
Awesome. So what was the year that you started getting back, or that you started getting into faction warfare?
I think it's 2019, so I'm very young, let's say very young faction warfare player. So before that, when I play in high sec, I play very occasionally. I was not so active. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always find it very interesting that 2 years in a MMORPG is considered young in an activity in that MMORPG. Just EVE has been around for so long, it just blows my mind, how we're almost coming up on 10 years, or 20 years. Sorry, see, this is how crazy old it is. And that that you would think that 2 years inside of a major activity inside of EVE would make you kind of still young to the area.
Yeah, that's right. Because well, EVE is the long-term game. I mean, I said to myself, all right, it's good that I started playing EVE in 2013 because this is the only game I will play when I get retired, you know. So because when you get older, you attracted more by slower things, like more melancholic things, more, you know. And Eve is just like that, you know. I cannot imagine myself to play, let's say, some quick games like a Dota or Counter-Strike, because my bones will be very rusted, you know, the things like that.
So you do an activity in EVE Online that a lot of people get really mad at you. So you do some AWACSing on the Caldari side. Can you explain what that is and why do you do it?
Well, it's a very huge subject, right? So I need to explain step by step, and required to explain you how I get into the faction warfare. So I
Mm-hmm.
need to explain you whole story. So it's a very complicated thing. I joined after I decided to move to faction warfare. I joined a corporation called Crimson Serpent Syndicate. All right, so they were like a very average corporation when it comes to activities. They just doing plexing thing, corporation wars, IHAB bashing, and things like that. But they were very active and relatively strong corporation. And that was the first time I participated in real PvP and more serious. I was part of the more serious community, and I like it compared to HiSec, right? So, after several months, corporation just fall apart because CEO had some real life things to do, and by lack of leadership, corporation just fall apart, and new corporations were created by former members. And one of those corporations were mine, right? Was mine. So
Okay. Yep.
what? And I must say, back then, Caldari was tier 1 for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and Galente was tier 5. So it was complete domination of Galente back then. And what I did, I literally go in high sec in mining belts and try to convince those venture miners to join faction warfare. You know, I preaching them about promising land, how they'll, you know, earn a lot of ISK doing PvP, have much better experience and things like that. You know.
Yep.
And many people joined my corporation. I had like 40 50 people in my corporation back then.
Hell yeah.
Mostly the new players. I was new myself, you know, but it was very fun because we were like brothers, you know. There was no strict hierarchy. I treat them very good, and it was forbidden in my corporation to make some toxic atmosphere and things like that. So
Awesome.
yeah, it was very cool. So we are doing. I organized back then because Caldari was very empty. You know, we were tier 1 and very empty, and I organized those offensive plexing fleets. And we're doing that, you know, and we're doing plexing, PvP, and things like that. And it was very, very good. And my corp mates were very, very happy, you know. But suddenly, Galente Alliance, that was the strongest one back then. The pen is out, I think. That was their name. They suddenly just left Caldari Militia and go to nullsec or I don't know where, and that was opportunity for us to boost Caldari tier. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and but from nowhere, just many players came into the Caldari. and that was just I made the impression that we rock. Now we are in let's say a few months we become a tier 5, and Galante dropped to tier 1. It was a 100% flip, and but there were two systems left in Galante possession that we couldn't capture. Uh, Fights in those systems were like 15 versus 15, 20 versus 20 versus 20. But then I started to raise some questions. You know, uh, if I ask everyone why Galante, while Galante Militia has like 30, 40 people online, we have more than 200, and we are not able to gather enough manpower to capture those two systems. What's going on? Because every time when we ask people to join us, they refuse. They just don't want to participate in PvP. And yeah, after a while, I realized more than 80% of the faction warfare are just the farmers who don't care for PvP, right? And what I did, I spoke with strongest CEO. I mean, CEO of the strongest Caldari corporation back then, and he told me, "Look, farmers are the problem, but we cannot do anything about that." I disagree, and I told him, "I think I have a solution for them. So I will start to avox them, to kill them with my corp mates, and we will see what will happen then," right? And he told me, "All right, so if you are sure 99% that they are not some new bros who want to doing PvP, but alt farmers, I don't have nothing against, you can do that." And I said, "Awesome," and I told my guys, "All right, so we will now start to killing the rabbits." We call them rabbits, those alt farmers. So they were very happy, especially some guys didn't had never had solo kill, right? And when they avox alt farmer for the first time, they were so happy. Yeah, I remember one guy from American South. He was like, for example, when we go to Novice Plex, I, as a fleet commander, I said, "All right, let's slide in," and he said, "Every girl say that," when he actually he succeeded to kill 3 rabbits, but in that 2 days. He was so happy. I give him like 2-3 medals for killing rabbits, and he told me, "Hey, boss, I love beer and barbecue, but I love to kill those goddamn rabbits as well." So that was awesome, man. So yeah, we have very good time these days, but after, let's say, several days, that corporation, that strongest corporation, they just changed their mind, and they call us like a Voxer, put us on red, and killing on sight, right? And they killed one of my corp mates, and that was the trigger for a war, right? But then what I did, I saw, well, I was so, how to say, I make many friends in that on my corporation, so I didn't want for them to have that burden, to fight against everyone, against Caldari and against Galante. It's a very hardcore mode if you're a very new player. And I told them to leave my corporation. I will take my revenge. I will fight against all by myself. And maybe one day when I set up everything, they can join again. So I just yeah, I just suggest them to leave and to join some other corporations to continue doing PvP and things like that. I didn't want them to suffer in any way, because of that backstabbing that happened to me.
So is this my understanding then is that you're very selective in your AWOCsing. You're not just going out there looking for any new bro or any person that's in the Caldari Militia and looking to AWOCs them. You're being very specific on looking for what you believe to be farmers, bots or bot-like people who are just trying to get ISK, are not doing any PvP. Are you checking them? Are you like checking kill boards to try to figure that out to a certain degree, or how do you find your parameters of what you believe to be a good target for you?
All right, so at first I was very selective before I get backstabbed. When I get backstabbed, I also were selective, but not that much. I I shooting all those who stand against me publicly, who accuse me of voxing and things like that. But after a while, I offered them a contract to all CEOs of the Caldari. I wanted peace with them, so they refuse. They refuse my demands, generous demands. I ask to pay me 2 billions for backstabbing me. And they refuse, of course, because I forgot that conceited. They were so conceited and proud, to do that. And yeah, and I said, all right, after this, there will be no further deals between us, and I will become your nightmare. And there is no more selection when it comes to boxing. I will just be a terrorist, So it's a higher level.
No, definitely. So how do you keep yourself from being kicked out of the militia? So normally when you shoot somebody that's on the same side as you inside of the militia system, you lose standings. And then if you lose standings too much, you end up, getting kicked out of the militia. So my understanding is that you have a corporation that you have somebody, or you have at least enough standings that it doesn't matter how much AWOCsing you do at this point. Is that correct?
That's right. So if you have members in your corporation that have high enough standings, right? Yeah, they can
carry basically anybody that's
right.
at a -10, and there's no
That's
way to
right.
go below -10. Once you hit that on that character, you're not going to be influencing the standings of your corporation anymore.
I don't know for sure because I'm not a -10. I'm still like maybe -1. But
Oh,
I
really?
mean, yeah, but I mean positive because of the skills, right?
Okay.
Social
Yep.
skills. Yeah, but what I'm doing, of course, I will test if I can go to -10. But the problem is at the moment I don't have enough standings with my alts, right? So, but in the future I will have, and I will try that method to drop to -10 to see what's happening, right? Can I stay in the corporation and faction warfare? But what I'm doing occasionally. I'm doing missions and get the standings with the Caldari from storyline, right? Mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still do missions and try and maintain some of your standing as well on your main character. Like you said, you don't have it quite set up yet that you can do it, where you can do it full time without having to worry about it at all because your alts are supporting you in the corporation. But you're kind of working on that though.
Yeah, because my alts have like two standings, like a 2.5 or something like that. That is not enough for me to trying to go into minus, right? But well, one day I will boost their standings to 10, and I will try to go with my main character in -10. So we will see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I thought about doing something like this because once I learned the mechanics of, um, you know, faction warfare, the idea behind building a corporation that was just all about AWACSing was actually something that I've talked to a lot of people about, and I thought about doing it for a while, and I don't know, there's a part of me that kind of like stepped back and just was like, I don't kind of want to do this though. Just the whole idea that they can't see you on their overview even, you know, they have no idea what the hell is going on. If for new player experience, I find that to be a little bit damaging to the game to a certain degree. What are your feelings on this? Is it just you've had like a personal vendetta against the Caldari for backstabbing you, so this is your payment for that? Is there any way to like, you know, that you see moving forward where you wouldn't be doing this, or would you be really upset if CCP found a way to make it so that you wouldn't be able to AWACS, you know, as easily?
All right. So at first, it was just about revenge, right? But by the time I used to like it, all right, it was become a part of me. So I used to like to be a terrorist. I don't care because that guy and that corporation doesn't exist anymore. He moved to nullsec, you know, and that corporation just fall apart. Now they have like a two guys in corporation. It's closed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I get my revenge, you know, because they didn't sustain enough in faction warfare. But also, I participate in their destructions by politics and diplomacy. So that is, yeah, another story. But I would say I am enjoying to be a terrorist. As well, about new players. After, let's say, you are a new player and you get avoxed by someone, right? Some crazy motherfucker like me. You and after that, if you quit the faction warfare, that means you're not for that part of space. You know, after you quit, if you quit after one kill, after one loss, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, especially in faction warfare, where it's a lot cheaper. Usually, it's not like getting AWACSed and it's not like you're AWACSing carriers or, you know, super carriers or, you know, even battleships. Really, I mean, what's the biggest AWACS that you've ever been able to accomplish?
well, I can't remember. I think it's a half billion worth ship.
Oh
It was
wow.
like yeah, it was like a Tech 2 recon ship, something like that. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting point of view, and it's an interesting way to play the game. I mean, and the counter to it is that, you know, if a corporation knows about you, they can set you as red, which overrides, you know, the standing or the view that you would come up as being friendly, as long as your overview is set up properly. And so to a certain degree, though. How much of a standings hit do you take for shooting or for killing somebody in your militia? Is it a pretty sizable chunk, or is that actually you could do that quite a bit and not have to worry about your standings going down?
Well, I would say approximately after I finish one storyline mission, I can avox like five of them,
Oh wow.
something like that. But I'm not shooting first every time because
Mm-hmm.
I'm very unpredictable because that is the process of terrorism of terror because well, I can tell you some stories. Let's say I slide into the plex and there was in open plex, right? And there was a alt farmer and there was 2 minutes left on the timer and I locked him, but I didn't shoot him. and he told me, please man, can you please leave this plex, I waited 20 minutes for this, blah blah blah. And I told him, okay, pay me 10 millions and I will leave the plex. And he told me 5 millions, can't pay 10. And yeah, I told him 10 or nothing. So, and he paid me 10 millions, and then timer was like below 1 minute. And he told me, now leave, now leave, now leave. And I just shoot him, right, and pick up all LPs.
His loot and
Yeah, I mean, that is part of my, or I can say sometimes I just lock them and they either run away, either attack me first, or they just say, all right, let's split those LPs, and if someone is very sympathetic to me, but need to be very, very sympathetic, then I leave him to Plex,
Mhm.
but I always go at the end of the timer and pick up half of LPs. Literally, I made my own slaves by that, because if I have like I can, well, I can be in safe spots in one system, and in that system I can have like 2 or 3 alt farmers who plexing, right? And I'm going to do what I would do, I would go into every flex, write down on paper the timers, and I will go back to safe spot. I will check the clock, right, and I will slide at the 1 minute right left and log them. So if they start to cry too much, then I kill them and pick all LPs. If they are like a good guys, I just split, I log them, but I just split LPs. So when my faction tier 4, let's say tier 4, I can make more than 300 million ISK by that method.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's an extremely profitable way of, and an interesting way of extorting people in EVE Online. There's lots of extortion that happens in EVE all the time. Every single day, every probably hour, there's probably an extortion EVE mail going out to somebody. But yeah, you found like a very effective way to make ISK, to get kills, and to use the game mechanics to your advantage. And it's definitely something that, I don't know if there is even any solution that CCP could even put into place, really. Maybe more standing hits or something like that. But it seems to be one of those things that AWOXing in faction warfare has been present for a long time. It's something that we've seen a lot in Galente faction warfare back in the day. It's something that we don't have, plagued us currently that I've heard of or know of. But yeah, it's definitely something that's here to stay as far as I can tell for faction warfare at this point. Is there anything in EVE Online that or with faction warfare that you would like to see changed? Anything that you would think could greatly improve faction warfare?
No, I think faction warfare mechanics is perfect. When it comes to EVE in general, right, there is some technical changes, like sometimes you get disconnect from the game, and things like that. Those are very, I would say, technical issues. But when it comes to faction warfare, I think game mechanics is perfect. Well, I will explain you why. So because CCP is like a god, who created a new Eden, and he gave us like a free will. We have a free will to do whatever we want. changing anything that will go against my gameplay would not benefit CCP. Why? Because I'm fighting against bots and alt farmers who are destroying faction warfare. Um, I would say, look, I would never complain to CCP about that problem, because I believe we can deal with bots and alt farmers by ourselves. Uh,
Interesting.
ima- yeah, imagine like 20, 30 guys like me. It will have some impact, it will be hell for alt farmers, you know. But well, I would say I will do some comparison to a real life, because everything in game is a reflection of our reality. For me, bots and alt farmers are like a rats, right? They are integral and permanent part of our reality. Uh,
Right? Yep.
for example, you can try to decrease their number, but you can never eradicate them 100%. So I will give you example. Imagine you go to your friend's house, and your friend house is full of rats. He living with the rats, and you told him, "Hey man, I think you should do something about those rats. It's not good for you, for your living and things like that, for your health and etc." And imagine he respond you like, "Dude, uh, dealing with rats, it's a waste of time because they will respawn again." It's the same answer that I get from faction warfare players.
Hmm.
Nothing should be permanent. Those bots and those alt farmers should be something that respawn by the time. But but we need to have to hold our house clear, right? Clean. Sorry.
Hmm.
So imagine many people try to find the answer why faction warfare space lacking of players who are into PvP. I will tell you why. Because we have house full of rats, and if you have a house full of rats, no one wants to visit you. No one wants to hanging out with you. So average player who have basic knowledge about faction warfare would tell you, I would not go into faction warfare because all is running by farmers, and there is a very very low PvP there. So that is the reason. So farmers are the reason, and my agenda, my ideology is to replace them all with a real PvP players who will plex and doing PvP in the same time, and plexing should be their main source of income. All right, so that is my ideology.
Interesting. So yeah, so you see yourself as being somebody who's kind of like cleaning out the house, getting it, cleaner, so that when the new people show up, and when people show up to hang out or to sleep over or to stay permanently, they don't have to live with a house filled with a bunch of rats. And that's definitely very honorable kind of point of view of what you do, definitely. And that's and anybody that's doing bot farms out there, that I'm 100% and 100% for, just 100% against these botting farms that are out there, and there's a lot of them, and I am 100% for destroying them, whether it's my Galente, if there's a Galente out there that's farming using bots. I'm 100% for them getting blown up or AWACSed. I don't really care. For my corporation, if it's a confirmed bot, that's something that I wouldn't mind whatsoever if I saw one of my corporation. In fact, I'd be happy to see one of my corporation members shooting and destroying and killing a bot, because they're the bane of, and like you said, they're rats. They're an integral part of the universe that is EVE Online. You can't get rid of them. It just because the EVE exists and humans play EVE, there's gonna be bots, because humans want to find an efficient way to do activities. And when you make something very simple, like faction warfare is one of the most simple things I could think of to code probably for botting in EVE Online. There probably isn't any other activity out there that'll make you as much ISK and be as simple to code for, and also as simple to make it look like you're actually. It is really hard to distinguish a human between a bot and a human in faction warfare. Sometimes I feel. Do you ever get that where you know that somebody's probably not a bot, but they just are acting like a bot all the time?
Well, I don't care really, because for me, 90% of faction warfare are the war targets, right? Well, of course, I will kill any bot that I saw because it's in my nature, to kill rats. That is, but well, I would say. Yeah, my brain stops. Okay, continue.
Yeah, no, not a problem. So kind of we're getting to the point where we'll be wrapping this on up here. Before we do that, though, I want to make sure that I give like a nice little spotlight for you to talk about if there's any projects you're working on, anything in real life or in EVE Online, or any shout outs that you'd like to give. Give a little bit, just the section for our guests to kind of talk about whatever they'd like to talk about. So spotlight's on you. Go ahead and talk about, and give any shout outs that you'd like to give.
No, I want to distinguish real life from gaming, but I would, yeah, I want to talk about my ideology, well, I would say my plan is to make at one point, because at the moment I'm not recruiting people, right? Because I'm not ready yet. I need to set up some things, and I need a credibility. So I need a better Z kill. And I would say I testing a lot, and I found that gameplay that can bring you 100% Z kill in the future. So what I need at least 1,000 solo kills, and at least to be like 80% dangerous, right? So then I can be like a player who can recruit other people, because I will have credibility and people will probably join. So I have plans for my corporation to be like a Blood Inquisitors. So the group of people who roaming through the space, and when they show up in some systems, all alt farmers just shitting in their pants and leave their plexus. So something like in Fallout, you have those, I forgot their name, like a regulators or a talent company or something like that. Yep. Yeah, some guys who don't care. So if you are not in player corporation, you will be considered as an alt farmer. So if you are like a state protectorate or federal union, you're just for me you're just an alt farmer immediately by default. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely hear you. And that's a cool kind of vision that you have for a corporation. I can see that you're building things up, and you've got like a plan, an idea, an ideology that you're following through with. So that's awesome. So what's the name of your corporation again?
Blood Mortality.
Blood Mortality, and that's what you're planning on, building up this corporation. Like you said, you're not accepting members now, but in the future, people that are interested in AWOXing, maybe take a look at your corporation down the line.
That's right. So, of course, my corporation, I would say I offer them more income. So opportunity to get more income than regular plexing, right? Because you will plex in the same time and stealing plexes from alt farmers, right? Because there were like parallel plexing. While you doing one plex, alt farmer doing other plex, and you just, you have two plexes, in time of one. I don't know how to say, but you know I'm that those are my plans, for the future, because I'm planning to play this in 20 years, so I'm not in hurry. So
Long-term
definitely,
thinking. Long-term thinking.
that's right. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I will, as the rats, I will be same, something permanent and integral in faction warfare, and my company will be not huge. It will be
Hmm.
like no more than 20 people, but they will be very, very occult, dark, without mercy. When they show up, they're like, I don't know, like some inquisitors from Warhammer, or some regulators from Fallout and things like that. So that is my plan.
I like it. That's very interesting. Very cool kind of concept and idea that you kind of have here. And it's definitely something that I personally have even thought about doing. And so it's very interesting that this is one of the few areas in Eve that you can really kind of pull off AWACSing, and there's nothing that anybody can really do about it. And
Yeah, I mean, you are, how to say, you can join me whatever you want. So just for the record, Also, my priority is the killing, so eradication of alt farmers and bots. So that is my main priority. It's a more important than war, right? So yeah, I don't care too much about Caldari and Galante. I'm Galante in my heart, but I have my priorities, so I can temporarily, cooperate with all those who support my ideology. So
Definitely.
that
Awesome. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it on up here. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. You are the first Caldari that we've been able to get on. So we get the terrorist of the Caldari to come on and talk to us from the Caldari side. So I'm sure we'll get so many great YouTube comments about that.
yeah, probably the bad one, because I terrorize many people, but I just want to say, I want to praise you in a way, because what you're doing, streaming videos and things like that, it's just awesome. Just keep a good work.
Awesome. Well, thank you
It's
so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know what you're doing in your life, but man, you are a natural born talent for this. Yes, to be a host of some show, to be a reporter or something like that. It's just yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm really taking to it. I've been doing interviews now for a little over a year, where I've really kind of been doing quite a bit of at least, like, trying to get in at least one interview a week. For this podcast, I've got other podcasts that I do and stuff. It's been a lot of fun, and I enjoy it a lot. And I've gotten some great feedback from my guests and stuff. And I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you might see me on a Saturday Night Live show or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it's been a lot of fun. So if you're definitely interested, if you're watching this and you're interested in talking about, or, joining up with the war effort, you can check out Golden Age Stories in-game, GULDAN. You can also check out the Golden Age Empire. We've got a few corporations that are in there, such as Average Pilots. If you're looking to join up, and you want to just, if you're on the Caldari side, check out the different Caldari corps that are out there. I push for anybody to just get involved in faction warfare. Third party in on it. Get into any empire. Galente's the best, but, any empire will do for you. And if you want to join up with us, alts, spies, anybody is welcome. Everybody and anybody is welcome in the Golden Age Empire here. Just come on over to Golden Age Stories, and we'll get you set up so that your spy can start spying on us. And we spy on ourselves, because we totally stream like almost all of our shit that we do. We're a horrible corporation when it comes to Intel secrecy. So if you didn't catch us live on Twitch here Sundays 2300 Eve time, that's 5 p.m. Central time, you can listen to our podcast, The Federation Frontline Report. We have that on YouTube. We also have that on all the podcasting platforms such as Spotify and YouTube. If you have news for us, you want something that for us to talk about on the show, this episode we didn't do any news. It's been a little bit slower. There's a lot of jitter rioting and stuff kind of going on, but we covered that last episode. But if you have anything for us, send me an email, in-game Frozen Fallout, or you can reach us via email at federationfrontlinereport@gmail.com. So awesome. Thank you very much for coming on, Vuk. And it's been a great interview.
Yeah, it was pleasure. So have a good day, man.